This is Camera Operation 101.
Hey, do you want to learn about camera angles? Let's go! For starters, focal length is expressed in millimeters. Focal length is what the camera can see and capture in the scene. The lower the millimeter, the wider the format. The first would be a wide angle, which is give a wide FOV of 18 to 35 degrees, normal human eye view of 35 to 70, and a telephoto, which is more restrictive and more directed, 70 to 140. Now another thing to remember is aperture. Aperture uses f-stops to determine how much light enters the sensor and therefore the image. The higher the aperture, the higher the blur, also known as bokeh. You can tell this by focal length divided by lens speed equals max aperture. You should always know what lens you want to use. A wide angle like this one equals the deepest depth of field and a very sharp image, but can't stretch the picture. Whereas a telephoto like this one is softer, shallower, but more restrictive. Knowledge of magnification is very essential for camera operation. For example, a wider FOV is better for chase scenes and walking, like with this one. Lead and look room is very important as well. Normal is good for creating isolation with an actor. And telephoto is good for large emotional detachments, creating empathy with the character. Filters are good for adding to your scene. A neutral cuts out light and reduces depth of field, whereas a polarizing cuts glare, reflections, and darkens the colors, making your scene look that much better. Autofocus can add or detract to your scene depending on your camera. For example, this 550D, it detracts because of its lack of autofocus points. Autofocus calculates your distance from the camera and focuses. A USM lens is good for portraits, a STM lens is good for video because of the servo motor versus ultrasonic. A good cameraman should always know how to manually focus. Just simply pull the focusing ring and you get magic. Pulling focus is the art of changing focus from one subject to another in a crowded area. Always remember this. Locking focus is quite simply locking the autofocus point on one subject, therefore making him stand out in a crowded area. For example, Raphael is the only one totally sharp compared to Kael, Troy, and other Troy. Just remember, color grading and gains must be kept to a minimum. As a photographer, you always must know your limit. Let's talk about ISO. ISO is very important, as if you control the ISO, you control the shutter and the noise. As with this one, this is a very low ISO, so the shutter speed is quite high. With the next picture you have, it's a higher ISO with the up-top exposure by 2 stops. And with the third, you have a 3-stop exposure, but you lose all the dynamic range and the noise that comes with the first picture. Therefore, you get a much noisier and junker shot. ISOs are bad. Dynamic range is important with the camera. For example, the 80D holds more dynamic range due to exposure stops than the 7D Mark II. Sensor size is important when recording. A full-frame camera has better noise performance, but is generally older, whereas the APS-C has junker noise performance, but is modern and cheaper to find. Any camera that you get, preferably DSLRs, has a program function. Portrait bumps up the shutter speed to get better depth. Sports ups the shutter speed to sharpen, and high ups the shutter to decrease light. Gain is used by photographers and cinematographers around for use in low light performance. Unfortunately, it blows dynamic range, makes the picture more noisy, and loses out on the colors, like this one. To create the floating frame, pull down with the camera so that you compensate the motion of the camera.
You should always be able to shoot raw. Raw has the ability to do everything in post, and your footage is uncompressed and unobstructed. As you can see with this magic lantern test with the Canon 5D Mark III, the footage looks much better. You can color code, grade, sharpen to whatever you want, and it makes the thing look that much better.
Now in post, color grading is very important to a photographer, as pretty much your photos can become washed out and can lose your dynamic range, or like this one, become very blue and cool. All you have to do is go to your color corrector, grade your colors, and go for a warmer spectrum if it's blue, or a cooler spectrum if it's more warm. For example, some frames that are more blue can come out pink. And to recap, look room and lead room pretty much give the subject more room in front to prevent claustrophobic feelings and trapped in the frame. Always use multiple angles when focusing on the subject. If you just simply jump like this one, it creates a jump cut. Whereas if you use multiple angles, it's easier for the audience to understand, and it's also easier for you, simply because, well, it creates a more easier dynamic trails of the subject. off or install a lens, push the circular button next to the lens. A counterclockwise turn will pull it off, and a clockwise turn will tighten. Always hold a camera with two hands, one on the lens and one on the body. If you don't have access to a tripod, go on your hands and knees so that you have better control of the camera. But if you have a tripod, just use the handle. Now let's see where a friend is at after seeing this video. You gotta be kidding me. The next sausage party? Oh no. Too cliche. Okay, he's getting artsy. Maybe we have hope in this kid now. Okay, badass alert, sorry. Okay. Yeah, popularity! Hey, the natural habitat. Ooh, GTA edit. Okay. Sup, boys? Gee. Don't drop the camera, no! Oh, shit. Ooh, hey, Porky's reference. Gee. Depressed Brayden.